We've got a brand new version of the program Yards. It's a third-party software developed by the talented Kyler Brisky, and he just released it for everyone for free. Really can't complain about that. How great is that? And in this video, I'm going to give you an overview, how it works, what it's meant for, how you would use it to enhance your Run 8 gameplay. So let's take a look. I'm on the Railcoder website, and the website is railcoder.com, and I'll put a link in the description below. So this is the same guy that's developed all these other programs for Run 8, including the world-famous external consist editor here. But today we're looking at Yards. So if you click on it, you're going to get a description of what it is, some screenshots, and then this is where you download it right here, version 1.3.0. And this software also comes with this really nice, well-written user guide. And anyone that's trying out this software, it's a must to read through this. It's only 18 pages. It might seem like a lot, but it goes quick. And it gives you the history and a lot of great information as far as how all the different features work, because there's a lot that you can do with this. And it can get a little technical and overwhelming. So this really helps explain how everything works. When you first open the program, you're going to be greeted by this window, and this is where you pick your region, the railroad, and what yard you're going to be working on. And this is also how you access that user guide. You can click right here, View User Guide, and it's going to pop up that PDF I just showed you. But for now, I'm going to open the inventory here for Barstow. What you do when you first start is you have to import a world file. So I went up here to World File Importer, and then you're going to tell it right here, you're going to click this and tell it where your world file is saved, the specific one you want to import. And then you'll hit import, and that's going to bring all of your cars. It's going to survey the entire Barstow yard and like the loop track and where the diesel shop is, like over here where the locomotives are being serviced or stored for outbound. And if I click on the left here, you can see south departure, north departure. I can expand these little boxes here, and it's going to show me all this information. So I've got, like in the south departure right now, on track south departure 2, I type you can type any notes you want in here. So I typed in the train symbol for the outbound train. Here's how much length is still available, the total length of the track, and then here's that's the length of the train. The tons, loads, empties, total cars 75, 6 locomotives. So you got all this info. Now, if I click over here on the SD2, it populates this area with what's on that track. Now, this looks this way because it's in the outbound queue, which we'll talk about later. So let's look at a bull track here. All right, so here's bull track 10, and then you can see it lists out all the cars for Watson Yard. And you can do that. You can click on any cars. Here's all the Bakersfield, gives you the tags, all the information that you need for each car, freight car. And you can even click on them, right-click, and hit RV Details, and then that gives you even more detail, the car type and the specific Run 8 file name, weights, lengths, all that kind of stuff, and even history of where it's moved throughout your yard. So when you first get into Yards, you want to go up to the top here to Yard Configuration, and this is important to get this set up. When you first load it up on your end, these are going to be blank. This whole box up here and this box here are going to be blank. And this is where you establish your class codes. So you can see I've got Bakersfield, got 3 different ones for Barstow, for the different Barstow local jobs, Fresno, the different LAJ locals, the different La Mirada LMC locals, and then all these different classes here for different, whether they're going off map or to other yards. So you add these manually. You go up here to the top and you tell it what tags you want it to look for. And then when it finds those tags, like for example, 2271 I entered here, then it's going to apply this class code, LAJ-A, which I established. And then you give it a name here, just that helps you, identify where it's going. And then down in this box, this is where you establish your train profiles. So this is where you create all of your base train symbols, such as H, all these manifests, Barstow to Bakersfield, Barstow to Fresno, basically all of your outbound trains. you're going to put the base symbol, meaning there's no, after, BAR VVC here, there's no dash and then like the date or sometimes there's a number. There's a few other details added on a full train symbol. So you just put the base here, and then you tell it what class codes to look at. And you can do multiples. As you can see here, I got Fresno and Bakersfield for a BAR FRS train, because sometimes those will stop at Bakersfield Yard on the way to Fresno to Calway Yard. And then here I got the Barstow to Bakersfield train, only looking for class codes BAK. And then you type in the destination, city, state. And then you've got more detail here. You don't have to put it in, but you can establish a minimum horsepower per ton, max length, max tons, and max trailing tons. And then these will pop up later when you're building your train to let you know if you've got any issues when you're building the train according to the parameters that you set here. Over here, shop cars reclass override. So you can type in keywords. Oh, also there's all these little circles with I think it's an I for information. They pop up these really nice little pop-ups that explain what's going on. You can do auto isolate and dynamic brake cutout for locomotives. So if you have certain tags on your locomotives, then when Yards gets that, imports it, it's going to automatically calculate it as isolated or dynamic brakes cut out when you're building your train. Also, I want to point out that there's a light mode as well. So if I hit that at the top, it gets bright. So I'm going to give you just a quick overview here then of how everything looks and works. And then I'm thinking maybe in a later video, I'll drill down and maybe do some tutorials on doing some very specific things with more, because this could be a pretty long video getting into all the different details. So on the inventory, the first tab here, inventory, this just gives you the overall inventory. You can see it by clicking anything over here. Like if I want to see receiving track 6, because I see there's a train on it here. If I click it, it's going to bring it in here. Or I could achieve the same thing by going up here and in this drop down choosing the track. So here's R07, there's nothing there. Receiving 6, and I can see what's there. And the order they're in is based on the order, the track direction for this specific yard. So this one is track direction. See up here, it says east to west. So that means the top is east and it goes to west. So that means over here in run 8, I'm currently on the east end. I'm over here looking at these cars because these are on the east end. These would be the ones I'd see right in front of me. And then the cars furthest away from me are going to be down at the bottom because they're way out here on the west end of the yard. So in the inventory tab, you can do a few different things. You can select all the train cars or a few of them, and you can hit export. And if I click it and hit OK, that just created a train file that now within run 8, I can click train and you can see here yards export, load into consist editor, and there's the cars that I just had right here in yards. They're already in a train file and you can drop it right into the game. I can also change before I go any further, I want to make it clear, yards grabs the information from your world save, but it does not in any way affect your world save file in run 8. So any changes you make here are not going to make any changes within the sim. This is just taking all the information from the sim in your world, this can also be used in multiplayer, and then it's allowing you to utilize this information, move things around to get everything organized, and then you jump into run 8 and you know what to do now. All right, so then the other thing you can do in here is make adjustments. So like let's say I wanted to change the tags here for this one. I can highlight it, hit adjust, and then I can come up here and type in the new tag or change the class or change the scheduled train, any of that, hit save, and it's going to change it only in here again, not in run 8. It's going to change it here. And then while we're here, I want to show you the scheduled train as well, because remember when I was talking about back in yard configuration, when you establish all of your train profiles here with the different symbols and the classes, what that does is this here. So now it knows when you import your world file, It's looking, it sees the tag for Modesto, MOD here in the tag. It sees that and it knows, because that's the class MOD. So it sees that, and then it says, oh, it's scheduled for the BAR MOD train. Same with all these. So Barstow to LAJ, because these are LAJ. So that's what that does in the yard configuration. And then up here, there's just different options in the query section. So you could search by tag, search by class code, all these different options, filter options, all that stuff. I could hit reset, blanks it out, and then I can search, a different track. Next, I'm going to jump to the Hump Assist. This is probably one of the best features. So if I drop this box, open this box up, see it says inactive. If I check the box for Hump File Watcher, now it says active. It's actually looking, and it's going to, I think, initially ask you for the path to where your hump file is. And then once you set it up, you don't have to change it again. And it's automatically going to grab the data from your hump configuration in Run 8. And it's going to populate that data into here. And it tells you here's the bowl tracks. I got them all active, so they're checked off here. So if I uncheck it, then it would be inactive. And then it gives you all the data, cars, how many tons, the length, and then the track length of what's currently there. But what's super awesome about this is, let's say I want to send a train over the hump. The hump yard is pretty full, right? Or the bowl, I mean, is pretty full. Normally, you pick a train, you start sending over the hump, and it might just fill up, and then the whole operation stops, the AI stops pushing it over because the bowl track's full. You got to go move it, or you got to fix the problem and then restart it. But what this does is, I got this train here on receiving 6 right here. I'm going to go, I want to hump that train on track 6. Now check this out. So over here in red, this is important. The first car to go over the hump has to be the first on the list. And if it's not, you can reverse it. So you can, actually, I don't know do you have to, yeah, you don't even have to highlight them all in this case. You could just hit reverse and it just flips the whole thing back and forth. So what I'm going to do here is, this is the first car that's going to go over the hump, and it's 734741. And the tag is OMY. 734741 OMY. So that's perfect. That's what we want. The first one going over the hump is at the top. Now check this out. You got these yellows and you got these reds. What this means is, all these cars here are going to be fine. They're going to make it in and they're not going to fill up the track. But when we get to these yellows, that means the track's getting full. And then you see now these Fresnos start turning red. That means that they're going to overflow when you get there. So I know ahead of time, before I even start the train, that I'm going to overflow the Fresno track here and I'm going to have a problem. Okay, so now I'm in the Train Planner tab, the next tab over here, and this helps you just to plan out your outbound trains. So right now I've got all these are checked, and if I hit search, these green ones, if you're wondering, these are already in the outbound queue. So these are already done. They're like locked in. They haven't departed the yard yet, but they can't adjust these cars. So right now I can easily see, all right, I want to do a train to San Bernardino yard. So here's my base symbol, the BARSBD. It tells me right here I've got 10 cars, 9 loads, 1 empty. So it's not enough yet. I don't have enough, and I'm searching everywhere here. If I wanted, I could look only in the bowl track. I could uncheck all these and only keep bowl track up here checked, hit search again, and then it's only going to show the counts for what's in the bowl tracks for all these different classes. So I can see San Bernardino here, there's only 10 cars. It's not enough to build a train. Let's see, what do I got for lengths here? So like Bakersfield, I got almost 5,000 feet, 86 cars. I could do a Bakersfield train. I could definitely do a Fresno train. I could probably do 2 of those here. So once you do, what you would do here is, you would, in this column here, you would type in, let's say I was going to do the Bakersfield train. I'd double click here and then I would type the full symbol. I'd go H and then I'd type in BAR, BAK, and then I'd do the full symbol. So like, let's just say, what's today, the 20th, I think. So I'll just put 20. You know, this is whatever you want, whatever you put after. Sometimes there's a letter even. And I'll hit schedule. One train scheduled successfully. Now it updates here. And now if I go to inventory, I can search by scheduled train, and I could even just type in BAK, enter. And now here's all the cars, and you see now the scheduled train, it's got the full symbol I typed with the -20. You can see all the cars that are scheduled. These are all scheduled for this train. Here's all the details at the top, 86, loads, empties, length, tons, and what tracks they're on. So these are in bowl track 16. You can see on the left here, B16. These are currently in the north departure yard. These are in receiving track 1, and then these are in receiving track 6. So you can see where they're all at in order to build that train, where you're going to have to pull them from. Now in the power planning tab, you can do all sorts of things. This is all of your power that's in the yard. And it shows you where the, let's see, where the track here. So DO1, DO2, these are the power staging tracks, departure tracks, south fuel pad, all that stuff. And then over here, you can type in the planned train. So like right now, if I was going to go to my train builder and I click on the symbol, I'll type BAK. So you can see over here, here's all the BAK-20s. And if I click, so cars for train, and look at this, it gives you this breakdown summary of the tracks, how many cars are in each track, all the details. Then if I click power, here's all the power, but it says no power was found planned for this train. But if I go back to power planning, and let's say I wanted this ACE here, and I put in that full symbol, and then I'll copy and paste it, so then I can do like maybe this ES44DC, and then down here I want this ES44 and this -9. Now if I go back to my train builder tab and then hit search again to refresh it, now look at this. In the top, these 4 are planned for this train. Basically that's what the power planning does. And then here's under outbound down here, you can see that I've got 10 locomotives already in the outbound queue waiting to depart. So these can't be touched. You can change the direction of that it's heading. You can change the status from run. If I want to turn this to dead, engines off, I can flip that, and then that'll change your calculations when you're building your train. So it shows you, basically you get a good snapshot of all your power. And then you can also filter, like if I wanted to search by, let's say, this 8421. If I'm looking for that one specific, I type 8421, and then it highlights it here for me if I was trying to find it. Let's go to the train builder. I'm building this train for Bakersfield. Here's all the cars that are planned for this train. So I'm going to select all the cars, drag them into this window here, the train profile window. Gives me all the info. Here's the base train symbol, class code, destinations, Bakersfield. And then if I had filled out all these requirements, they'd be in here, and I'd get alerts as well under this compliance tab if I have any problems. Right here, this column's red because I haven't set the build track yet. I haven't told yards what track I want these to be built on. So what I'm going to do is put them on, let's go north. I can actually click this and type ND. And let's go like north departure 5. And then hit apply. And now this column has ND5. So they're all set to be built on that track. And if the train was too long for that track, you can select a handful of cars and apply a different track. And then that'll tell you that part of the train is going to be on one track, part of the train is going to be on the other track. And then when you put it together at the end, you'll piece those 2 tracks together. Then you can set your build direction, and your full train symbol you would type in here. And then I need the power. So back over here, I'd click now on power. select the 4 that are planned for this train, drag them into place here. And if I wanted, 2 on the rear, let's say, I would just drag them down. That easy. But for this example, I'll just keep them on the front. And then I'm going to also set the track here. So we're still on ND5. I'll hit apply. So now we got ND5 there. When you're building the train, this is the only time that you want the train to be in the order from like front of the train at the top to rear of the train at the bottom. Whereas like when you're on the inventory tab or the Hump Assist or any of the other ones, it's going with the track direction where east is at the top and west is at the bottom. But here when you're building it, this is the front of the train. This has to be the rear of the train at the bottom. So I'm just going to go with west because this is heading west because it's going to Bakersfield. And now I'm going to hit build. And I'm going to hit yes. And it was successfully built. And now it's added to my queue here, my outbound queue. So here it is, the HBAR-BAK-20 on track north departure 5. And then you get all the details of your locomotives and then the train details here, the breakdown. And if I want to see the consist, I click this and I can see the consist here. And then if the train leaves, if I'm going to send it, and let's say it was this train here in the departure yard and I want to send it out, once it starts moving in yards, I would click depart train up here, and that's going to take all these records out of the software because that train's now gone. It's out of the yard. If I want, I can click export to train file, and that's going to instantly create a train file that I can open again here with this yards export. And now I've got it in my consist editor, and I can place it down on any track I want and do whatever with it. So that's really handy. And then if I said, oh, shoot, I should have added some other cars or I messed up, I can hit tear down. When I hit yes, it's now out of the outbound queue, and all those cars go back to not to where they were grabbed from, but they're going to go to an inventory. They're going to be on ND5. So here's north departure 5, and you can see here's all the cars. Next, let's look at the track to track. This allows you basically just to move cars from track to track. So, or reorganize. You can do several things. So I can move cars from receiving 6, let's say, and I can move them. Let's say I wanted to move these over to track receiving 7. I can drag them over here. And let's say within run 8, I was going to do that over in the receiving yard. I was going to move these, those cars from 6 to 7. Then I can move them in here, and it's going to update. If I hit save changes, it's saved. And now these cars are currently on track receiving, or previous track receiving 6, but now they're currently on receiving 7. And then it updates over here. So if I go to receiving 7, now you can see they're here and they're no longer on receiving 6. Also in track to track, let's see if I hit, well, let's just leave these up here. I can reverse cars. So if they were in the wrong order, like this car at the top here was actually on the west end, needed to be down here, I can highlight them, hit reverse, and it's going to flip them. Now it's down at the bottom. I can also apply a train symbol. So if I wanted to change, right now this is scheduled for Barstow to Modesto here. If I wanted to change those to a symbol of Barstow to Fresno, I can do that and then hit apply. And now you can see those 3 at the bottom here are now BARFRS. So I can do that. I can reorder the cars. So I can drag these up here, drag these down, make any changes there. I don't think you can drag in here. No. But over here I can. And then I can hit save. And it's just going to save the order of the cars. If I hit reset it up here, it just clears everything out so I can start again. And I don't even need to move from here to here necessarily. I could just pull up cars, the ones in R7 again, and maybe put this T107 back up here. Hit save changes, so you can make changes here as well. I can delete a car. If maybe I got rid of this one in run 8, I can go here, right click, hit delete. And now that's out of my list. So the last few things here, we've got let's look at the switch list. This is another really handy feature. If you're going to be switching cars manually in one of the yards, maybe to build, let's say you're building a local train or you're just building an outbound train, you can choose the track. So I'm going to go with, for this example, receiving 6, and then I'll hit search, and it's going to pull up, here's all the cars, the classes, based on our yard configuration again here. Remember, we had to create all the classes. So it lists the classes that are in track receiving 6 currently, how many cars are in each class, and then the length, and then here's the 2 track. And then here's all the cars right here in this list. So what I would do is I would say, all right, the first car, you don't have to switch all of them either. You can just do maybe the first 10, and then the rest will just stay on the same R6 receiving 6 track. So in this case, though, I'm going to click the first car and the last car. We're going to do the whole cut. So you see how now they turn white. They were grayed out before. What I'm going to do is say, like, all right, up here, I want all the cars for the BAR-2 class. Let's put them on the, I think it's the old 001. I'll just using the old yard. All right, so I just went and filled the rest of these in across so you can see how it populates automatically here. And if I wanted to, I could go in and individually, if I wanted this one car to go down a different track, I could come in here and type the different track in here. And then what I'm going to do is hit submit at the top. And now it's added to the active switch list. So it's not completed yet, but it's active here in this list. And I can delete it if I want. And then I can click here and see the switch list. Make any changes. Maybe if I want to make a change, I could do that. And then down here, I think it creates it in the switch list folder when you hit submit up at the top. But you can also print it here. And I also have generate cut lines checked. And you can also type in handwritten notes. Don't mess anything up. I typed, so that's in there, and the instructions for the guy. And I can hit print switch list. Successfully created, and now I can open the switch list folder, and here it is, the demo BNSF Barstow receiving track 6 switch list. And now you can see here's the switch list, gives you all the detail at the top, the date, all this length and everything. And then here's where you start here, first one. This should be the first car, and then here's the tag that's on it, the length, and then it's going down 2 track, not 0, or this is kind of confusing. I probably should have done something different, but it's a letter O for old yard, track 09. And then the next 2 cars, these cut lines are great. Next 2 cars are going to track 6. Then the next one is track 3. So you can see how you work down the switch list. You can print this out and cross them off as you go, or leave it on your computer, and you can highlight. Come in here and highlight the rows as you perform your switching tasks. And then when you're done, if say this is all switched, you would come up here and you'd hit complete. Are you sure you want to complete it? Yes, because we finished switching in run 8, and it's completed. So now it's out of here, and now all those cars are now on the new track. So if I go to old yard, which was empty, now you can see all these old yard tracks. I can, another nice little tip here, I hit this button. So this track box is selected. Now I can just use the up and down arrow keys to cycle through all of them. So you can see these are all the ones from our switch list that are now in the appropriate new track. So these switch lists can really come in handy, especially, when you're doing multiplayer, playing with other people. One person can generate the switch list within yards, do the steps, that I showed. And then you can just send this PDF to your friend that you're playing with and say, here's the job, go at it. The last few things here are the outbound and inbound queue. So we already looked at outbound queue, and these are just the trains that are currently sitting in your yard that have not left yet, but they're all ready to go. And then the inbound queue, this is pretty neat. There's some great features here. So when you first start up yards, and you import your world file, when you're first getting used to yards, you're probably going to run that. You're probably going to click up here and do, this will be probably the same world file selected, and you're going to import probably several times as you make changes and mess with it. But once you get everything once you understand how this all works, then you likely won't be importing and overwriting everything. You can do it every time you play if you wanted to. As you make changes, they would be overwritten based on whatever is currently physically in the yard in Run 8. Typically, you would do like one import and then you'd start moving stuff around in here and you wouldn't have to overwrite everything. So then because of that, you're going to use your inbound queue. So when a new train comes into the yard, you can do one of two things. If you saved that train, like say you created a train in the external consist editor or even order builder to drop into Run 8, then you're going to have that train file. You placed it in, spawned it into Run 8, manually placed it down, had the AI take it in from Seligman, let's say, to Barstow. Then you'll have that train file. You could come up here. So what you can do is you can find the train file in your trains for SoCal, and then you can click it. So in this quick example, I just grabbed a file here. I had some cars for PPH. So I imported these from a train file, and then I can tell it, all right, let's say these came in on receiving yard 2. So I'd say that's the track I'm going to set them to. I need to highlight, because if I just hit 1, it only does the 1. So I need to highlight all of them. Now they're all going to be set on receiving 2, and then I'll hit complete. And now they're not in the inbound queue anymore. And now over here on receiving yard 2, here's those cars. Now receiving 2 was blank before, but I just brought these in from the inbound queue, and now I can work with them. And look at this. Because they're classed, they were identified as PPH class. They're now scheduled for the Barstow to PPH Porphyry Yard train over here. And then, that helps with your train building and your train planning. Back in the inbound queue, another really neat way to bring a train in is to search the world file. So let's try this real time here. I'm going to open up my AI traffic. I've got a Galesburg, Illinois to Barstow train here. So what I need to do is I'm going to select my world file, which is SoCal 2026. I'm going to type the train symbol. And I forgot, I'm going to try just typing in GALBAR, not the, I think there was a 1-19. I'm just going to see if it finds this train even without that. Let's see, if I leave unit number blank, let me just try this. Search, unit number can't be blank. So I need to search for a unit number. So the lead here is 4057. So I'll put 4057, search. Look at that. 65 records have been added to the inbound queue. Train GALBAR. Hit OK. And here it is. There's 4 locomotives. It's 4,094 feet. All the specs. I can view the consist. And here is there. And there it is. Look, H. So it did find it. I didn't even have to type the full train symbol. It was able to search the entire world file and find that train. So this was just a try to be brief overview here. I mean, you can tell there's so much that this software is capable of, and I strongly recommend reading through the PDF instructions because it really goes through each step and gives you the details of how everything works. So the goal of this video was to just show you guys what Yards is all about, what it can do, and how it can really help you get your yards organized and sorted. And not every train yard is in the software yet. Like West Colton's not in there yet, and there's several others, but there's a whole bunch that he's already done. And the big ones do take a lot of time, so that's why he's just doing a little at a time when he can. But they will be coming eventually. There's no set date or anything, but he's working on it. So hopefully you enjoyed the video, and let me know in the comments. Maybe in the future we'll do, if you want, I can drill down and do some actual examples of building a train or running the Hump Assist and just doing it like step by step. I think that's it. Thanks for watching.